Hey, everybody, welcome back into another episode of Bears Latest. I'm Brandon, and it is Wednesday, June the 18th, and here's what's going on with your Chicago Bears. Earlier, I was reading an article from Bears Wire talking about seven potential free agents that the Bears can still, pounce on to improve the roster. I know people are tired of hearing about all the signings and the movement and everything, and they're just ready to get to training camp. But I love the fact that Ryan Poles is not stopping his work, his continuing to scout, and he has made some decent signings late in the offseason at the onset of camp and right before the season begins. So I don't think you ever stop that evaluation process. You're always looking to improve your team. And as I kind of, I gleaned on it and then I broke it down a little bit further. I have three of those seven today that I thought would be excellent upgrades and would not break the bank. As you know, we still have about 14 million under the cap, which is pretty good going into the season. You can still make a couple of really good, really good signings to bolster your roster. Some really good role players. You can still get some good added production. And here's the three, and this is in no particular order. The three that I think would be really good upgrades for us. The first one's got to be Will Hernandez. For those who don't remember Will Hernandez, he came into the league as a guard for the Giants. And he's also played for the last couple seasons with the Cardinals. This signing would be a signing that would allow us to replace Ryan Bates. I still believe that Ryan Bates is going to be cut unless you can find somebody that will flip a seventh rounder for him. The problem is just he was not healthy at all last season. He had issues on the field. He did not gel um, very well with the offense, but I think that was pretty much the entire offense. But when you're not on the field, it's really hard to justify your spot on the roster. So I think a guy like Hernandez, who yeah, at 29 years old, he could come in and be a good depth signing at guard and could spell Jonah Jackson whenever needed or Joe Tooney. He has that ability to, and he didn't give up any sacks last year. Um, and when he was on the field, I don't know if he played the entire season or not, but he has had some injury concerns. But I think if you can get him at a low cost because of said injury concerns, you can sign him to a team-friendly deal and allow him to prove it. You can give him that one-year prove-it deal, and then let Ryan Bates allow him the opportunity to try again elsewhere, and right there, you've already bolstered your line. And I think the line is going to be one of the strongest positions on our roster this year. And the thing is we already have some really good strengths on our team. So to see a potential like Will Hernandez bolstering the guard position there, I think is going to be great. Plus, he's been a starter in the league. This is nothing new to him. He can provide some good, not only stability, but he's going to be able to provide mentorship for some of the new guys like Luke Newman, who just came out, and even like Bill Murray, not the actor, but the guard, Bill Murray. He could provide some mentorship for him as well. So, what do you guys think about Hernandez? Do you think that would be a slick signing, or steer clear? Let's stay with what we have. We may cut Ryan Bates and we'll just figure it out as we go along. Let me know what you think. So we go from guard position over to the other side of the line, and we're going to talk edge. We talked about the edge position yesterday, but a name that has been floated on and off and seems to be back on again, especially with Trey Hendrickson, you know, rumors that he is going to end up getting a deal from Cincy. Um, it's probably prudent of us to look at guys like our next one, Matthew Judon, who played edge for the Falcons last season, and and Judon, who's 32, played all 17 games last season, which was like the first time he's played in 17 games all season for like the last 4 years. And he had a very productive stat line. I mean, 41 tackles, 5.5 sacks. That's what stuck out to me. 5.5 sacks. He also had a pick six as well. So there is good production, especially from a guy that only played a handful of games this season before and was basically on Gerard Mayo's poop list for a better part of the season. But I also think that was because didn't know how to. I mean, there was just it was kind of like what we had on the Bears roster last season: mismanagement, not knowing how to coach them, it just too much dysfunction. I like this as a possible signing because Raheem Morris, defensive-minded head coach, does a lot of that type of blitzing, and yeah, I think that that's something that Dennis Allen does. Judon's a big bodied guy. He also provides a veteran presence for some of those other guys that are on the line, like Sweat, Obdengbo, Austin Booker, guys like that. I think that that would be a solid signing there, and you wouldn't be breaking the bank because of where he's at in his career. Still productive, but because there were so many guys that went in the edge position this year, and you've got guys being re-signed this year. You got guys like Trey Hendrickson that are working towards getting their paydays. The market's a little bit more open for guys like Judon to get team friendly deals. And I think he would want to come and play for a team like the Bears, especially since we are on the precipice of going back to the playoffs. So I wouldn't mind seeing him in there and being in a rotation. He's going to provide his veteran presence. He's going to be able to mentor guys, like we already said. And he's still going to have a decent season of production. And I think they're going to be able to use him in a way where he's not going to lose his tread or lose his wear throughout the season, not playing every snap. And, it might be able to scheme him a certain way where when he is on the field, he's disruptive. And that helps us in the long run. So, what do you think about a guy like Judon? Should the Bears look at Judon as a possibility? Or should we stick with who we have? Or is there another option? We've talked about a ton of different edge options. If you have one in particular that you care for more, put it down below. If you think this would be a good idea, let me know that too. All right. So we're going to stay on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to shoot over to the linebacking core. We talked last week about Ruben Hippolyte and talking about possible depth for the linebacking core, because it's one of the it's another part of the roster where it's not our complete strength, but you don't use a lot of linebackers in Dennis Allen's scheme. It's mainly two linebackers usually that tend to do the bulk of the work, but that doesn't mean that you can't use a guy on the outside to be more like an edge presence. And I think that's where this guy can come into play. Kaiser White, who played for linebacker for the Cardinals most recently. He's still unsigned. He's only 29. The guy has 137 tackles combined last year. He had 2.5 sacks and an interception. That's really good production for me. I like the potential of that. I think it would be actually a very smart signing, because not only are you giving a guy like White a chance to start, but I think you're also going to be able to give Ruben Hippolyte the opportunity to get his reps in and continue to grow as the season goes on. He doesn't necessarily have to have all that pressure placed on him. And he'll be able to learn behind a guy like Kaiser White, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, those guys. I think for a 1 year deal, and if you want to, again, this is the day of prove it deals. This could be another 1 year prove it, and he can boost his stock and go back into free agency again and look for a long term deal for 2, 3, 4 years. I think he would be great on the outside. He's a tackling machine. Speed doesn't seem to be a big issue with him. Um, but I also think it just comes down to good coaching. I think that if Dennis Allen gets his hands on a guy like White, I think that he could definitely have a place in this defense and could be a good stepping stone to Ruben Hippolyte. But this is a really good opportunity to sub in White and Hippolyte, vice versa, to keep guys fresh. So I think it would be a really good depth signing, whether it is a starting role or a reserve role. I think you can't go wrong. What do you guys think on that one? What do you think about Kaiser White? If you're like, who the hell is Kaiser White? I totally understand. If you're also like, nah, we don't need him. We've got the Noah Sewells of the world who are just setting the world on fire, or the Sways Bozeman's and such. Let me know what you think about that. If there's another backer out there, put them in the comments below, and we'll see if this is something that may transpire over the next you know couple of weeks, few weeks leading into training camp. And today I'm going to leave you with some news that came out that ESPN, their one of their analysts, Mike Clay, came out and was talking about stat projections for the Bears, and he believes that the Bears are going to have the first wide receiver duo of 1,000 yards each since 2013. And if you were following the Bears back in 2013, that was the first year of the painful beginning of the end for the Bears in the 20 teens, minus the first only good year of Matt Nagy, maybe 2 years. But anyways, 2013 was the start of the Mark Trestman era, which actually offensively, we had a pretty successful season offensively. It was the defense that was just absolutely atrocious. Mel Tucker didn't know what he was doing. But anyways, Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey were the last tandem of 1,000-yard each receivers we had in a season. Now the question is, what do you think was the duo before that, which would have been the first 1,000-yard duo? Well, that takes you all the way back to 1995. And probably some of you weren't even born yet. And if you were already alive and kicking, you knew that was a Bears playoff season under the direction of Dave Wannstedt, and they had Eric Kramer at quarterback, and their two wide receivers were none other than Curtis Conway and Jeff Graham, each eclipsing 1,000 yards. And that was also the season that Eric Kramer set the franchise record for most yards passing in a single season. Not quite 4,000 yards. It was 39 and change. Where Clay was going with this in his article, this would be the first time that they've had 2,000-yard receivers in 12 years. And not only that, this would be a season where Caleb Williams is going to break Eric Kramer's record and potentially become the first 4,000-yard receiver for the Bears. I do believe this is a buy. I'm not selling this one bit. I think both Rome and DJ are going to be able to get their yards. I wouldn't even be surprised if we had 2,000-yard receivers, and then we also had a guy like Luther Burden getting between 600 and 800 yards, getting a Cole Kmet and Colson Loveland somewhere combined around like another 700 or 800. I don't know. I'm throwing some crazy numbers out there, but there could be a lot of opportunities for touches in this offense. It's not going to be a panacea at first. It's going to take some time to gel and come together, but this does have the potential of turning into something like a high-flying offense. Just so you guys know, they're projecting DJ having 1,064 yards, and then Rome just getting over the 1,000-yard mark at 1,012. What do you guys think about that? Do you buy them both being 1,000-yard receivers, or are you going to sell it and say one of them is, the other one's going to be close? I'd be curious to see what you guys think. I think there's a lot of really good potential there for that, and just want to see what you guys think. So, guys, it's been a pleasure. We've hit through the entire list. We'll look at some more of those free agent targets tomorrow from the Bears Wire article. We will not cover players that we've already covered ad nauseum, so it won't be all Bears wired players, just so you guys know. So you're not like, oh god, more targets, more targets. Well, we'll be talking about stadium ownership this week, talking about the stake, that's up for sale of minority ownership in the Bears. So we've got plenty to cover this week, just so you guys know, and we'll break it up and continue to keep it light. So you guys, it's been great. Don't forget to subscribe, comment below, and thank you for another great episode. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Bear down.